I'm still on the Bernie theme. So this is TYT covering him on Andrew Shultz. Bernie catches heat for saying this about the Democratic Party. I haven't watched this one yet. Let's see where they start and how they go. TYT.
They started to label us, the podcast bros, and said that we were sexist and we were racist and bigoted. It's almost like it's the exact same strategy to get you out of there.
And then you get to what we call identity politics.
Yeah.
That you're black, you're wonderful, you're tremendous, you're gay, you're the greatest human being on earth.
Yeah.
And rather than say, what do you stand for?
We felt that over the last 4 elections, Democrats, we felt that we didn't have a say on who could be president.
There hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008. Are they not also a threat to democracy? We often hear...
Fair enough. This is a good discussion.
Why are you shocked?
I am shocked.
I'm kind of shocked.
Asking questions are not often asked.
Senator Bernie Sanders is catching a ton of heat over his views on the Democratic Party's treatment of our system of government, democracy, how we run our elections, which was the centerpiece, by the way, of the Democrats' 2024 election cycle. But before we see all of that commentary from Senator Sanders and what the fuss is all about, I do want to just quickly touch on what he had to say about identity politics. First, the context, though, Cenk, because 2015, 2016, Bernie Sanders was but he was different from 2020 Bernie Sanders. 2020 Bernie Sanders, I feel that he felt he had no choice but to infuse his campaign with the identity politics in order to, keep the identity obsessed off his back when, he wants to focus on the bread and butter economic issues that honestly appeals to.
Bernie Sanders is always focused on identity politics. He was talking about gay people in the military like in the 90s or early 2000s. He was sitting behind Martin Luther King and Martin Luther King's speech. He was chaining himself to black women, some march that they got pictures of. Bernie Sanders has always talked about identity politics. What are you talking about? This makes absolutely no sense.
To a much broader base of voters. But nonetheless, let's take a look at how that part of the conversation went down.
We have a question we want to ask about what happened to you in 2016 with this Bernie Bros movement, where your followers are seeing they have a racism problem, a misogyny problem. Do you think that's a super PAC thing behind that?
That was the Democratic establishment.
During this election, the podcast space, which the Democrats largely avoided, they feel had some influence in the election, and they started to label us, the podcast bros. And
it was stupid for the Democrats not to go on these podcasts. What are you doing?
Said that we were sexist and we were racist and bigoted. It's almost like it's the exact same strategy to get you out of there.
Yeah, that's what the liberal elite China does. And then you get to what we call identity politics.
Yeah.
That you're black, you're wonderful, you're tremendous, you're gay, you're the greatest human being on earth.
Yeah.
And rather than say, what do you stand for?
Exactly.
You're gay, that's fine, who cares?
Yeah.
But what do you stand for?
I love that Senator Sanders.
I hate that the right breaks up words like that. There's nothing wrong with identity politics. And Bernie Sanders, like I just said, he's been on identity politics his whole entire career. He knows the identity of people matters. And yes, not all gay people are the best people in the world. Not all black people are the best people in the world. All people are people. Some are good, some are bad. This is what it is. But all people should have equal rights and equal access, things like that.
Exactly.
You're gay, that's fine, who cares?
Yeah.
But what do you stand for?
I love that Senator Sanders focused on, the content of someone's character, what someone stands for politically speaking, what their objectives are, when they're pursuing a position of power, because that does matter the most. It absolutely matters the most. The identity politics situation is so dumb because what it does is, Waz talks about this so perfectly. I can't articulate it as well as he does, but it just gives you this illusion of actually moving.
So if you don't have an identity politics, you don't identify as anything. So if a man comes up and beats you, it doesn't matter. Or I guess people don't hit each other, but just if you're equal, you're the same as a man. You have what? I don't understand why people say there are no identity politics, and then later on they're gonna be like, oh well, trans people aren't women or whatever. You're identifying people as who they are. I don't get or as who you think they are or whatnot. You have identity politics. Everybody has identity politics. Men don't do certain things to women. Women don't do certain things to men. Women do certain things to women. Men do certain things to men. Right? Like it's just and don't do certain things. But it's just so weird that the right breaks up words like this. But then how do you communicate? It's just so weird.
Toward progress for marginalized groups of people.
How do you progress? Yes, for marginalized people when you can't identify them.
As he does. But it just gives you this illusion of actually moving toward progress for marginalized groups of people in this country, when in reality, we're talking about elite people who get to enjoy positions of power, but they think exactly the same as the neoliberals, even the neoconservatives that have destroyed this country.
Yeah. So
destroyed the country for who? The country was built by destroying the people who were here before, and then built on the backs of people who we destroyed their lives for generations, and then we didn't have equal rights up until the 70s, and from the past 50 years people have been mad and trying to take it back and make America great again because they don't want everybody to have equal rights, it seems. Let's see.
As the neoliberals, even the neoconservatives that have destroyed this country.
Yeah.
Oh, destroy this country. Yeah, neoliberals, neoconservatives, they're trying to keep it the way it was. They're trying to keep it the way it is. The left, progressives, we're trying to progress. We're trying to make things different. We're trying to change the oligarchy, the fascism that started this country, the everybody had their, or not everybody, but a master had his plantation. They all had their own little serfdoms, basically. That's what this country was built for everybody, not everybody, but the rich white man to run everything. Yes, we want to change that. Like neoliberals, neoconservatives, and the right, they want to preserve that. They want to MAGA. They want to make America like it was.
So this Bernie interview is a Rorschach test and it's a litmus test. So let me explain how it's both. Rorschach, and then when you look at it, you can see it depending on your perspective very differently, right? We look at it and we go, oh, that's obviously true, right? Oh, and thank God he's finally saying it, because we were worried that between 2020 and now he had not.
Thank God he's finally saying it. Like the Jimmy Dore video, if you haven't seen it, go check it out. I'll try to put it at the end of this. He was saying in 1988, I think that video was from. He knew that the Democrats were corrupt and corporate and part of the oligarchy, but now he's changed.
Not been saying it, right? But he's taking a bolder stance against identity politics. And against the Democratic establishment. Now, as a person who's populist left,
I gotta do this.
7 billion, the same ones that would put homos in the military, the same ones that would not fund BRAC.
My ears may have been playing a trick on me, but I thought I heard the gentleman a moment ago say something, quote unquote, about homos in the military. Was I right in hearing that expression?
Absolutely. Putting homosexuals in the military.
You said something about homos in the military. Was the gentleman referring to the many thousands and thousands of gay people who have put their lives on the line in countless wars defending this country? Was that the group of people that the gentleman was referring to?
Again, I just find it odd that they say, oh, I don't understand identity politics. I mean, you should. You do it, and you do it in the right way, but then you let these right-wingers make you, oh, I don't identify. I don't get it. To me, that's stupid.
The economic wing of Bernie movement, that to me is perfect. It's manna from heaven, right? So, but for the establishment, it's very clear.
So the economic wing of the Bernie movement is perfect. I would think that if you saw the economic wing of the Green Party movement, that would probably be perfect too, or the Green Party platform, however you want to call it.
Clear. They love identity politics. I'm going to explain in a second why they love it so much. So they hate it, right? I now see like the rad libs or whatever they call it.
Yeah, rad libs is perfect.
Right?
Yes.
So those folks who are like, no, Biden's the youngest person in America.
Rad libs, radical liberals, what?
He's an infant. Kamala Harris is the greatest candidate that's ever.
That's like an oxymoron. Liberals are for the system. They're like the most center right you can be. Like they're so close. What? How can you be radical center? That doesn't make any sense. I'm fighting hard to stay the same.
Happened. She would have won 50 states if it wasn't for blah, 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 the rascally kids. And so for those, the crazed Democrats that like got trained and brainwashed on MSNBC that have now come online, right? So for those guys, they hate it. They look at the Rorschach test and they go, ugly old woman. I don't want it. He criticizing Democrats and our beloved identity politics. I hate that guy, right? So that's easy. To me, what I'm curious about, and I'm genuinely curious, I don't know, I mean, you might have a better sense of it, but we're mainly gonna see it in the reaction going forward, right? Is what do our friends on the far left think, right? Because so a lot.
I think the Democrats are trash.
A lot of them are economic populists like us. There's a lot of overlap, right? They should not be pro-establishment. I mean, if you're.
Didn't you used to call yourself left? Well, you said you're differentiating yourself from the left now. Isn't this identity politics too?
Far left, you shouldn't want anything to do with the establishment, right?
Right.
So
nothing
but
to do with the Democrats.
are they so wedded to identity politics that they're going to join the rad libs and go, no, since Bernie's not doing identity politics, we're out? I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
Join the rad libs and say since Bernie's not doing identity politics, we're out. So nobody on the left would be in the Democratic Party right now. Like we would have been in the Democratic Party in 2016, possibly trying to do the Bernie movement, possibly 2020. But nobody in the left now is in the Democratic Party, and nobody who is really educated about the left, which I really wasn't back then, would have been in the Democratic Party. I wasn't in the Democratic Party. Well, I didn't vote for the president either, but I supported Bernie being in the Democratic Party in 2016. I didn't support him being in the Democratic Party in 2020, but I still supported him while he was in the Democratic Party. So my effective politics were supporting him being in the Democratic Party. No longer are those my effective politics. If you are on the left, once you're educated enough, the Democratic Party is unacceptable. It's not even an option. Like you don't even. Like you listen and you listen to Republicans and stuff, but the Democrats are just as much of an option as the Republicans are, which is very slim. Like I will vote for a Democrat very rarely, and just as often I'll vote for a Republican, but yet that is still very rarely.
Cenk,
I'm a terrible note taker.
I think they're the same people. I think there's the same groups of people. Okay.
Democrats and Republicans.
So these are individuals, and look. There's the Democratic establishment that has an interest in leaning into the identity politics, essentially fracturing the Democratic base based on identity, which makes it even more difficult to work together as a broad coalition that pushes for economic prosperity in this country.
That's the whole point of the right, is to keep people split by money, by class, by different identities. But if you do identity politics in the correct way and you care about other people's identities, that's good identity politics. If you're like, oh, well, I'm just not going to say anything and let people who are different identities get hurt, that's bad identity politics, right? Like, I mean, there's a way to do pretty much anything.
Because think about how things have been playing out over the last decade, for instance, right?
Okay, let's do that.
On the Democratic side, you have all of these little fractured groups of people, right? You have...
Because Bernie has pulled a lot of people in. Obama did the same, right? Regular people, mainstream people all got into the party. They all have a bunch of different views and different things. But the Democratic Party does not care about any of those views or what they want. If he'd have taken his movement to the Green Party, to a party with the correct platform, or what I think is the correct platform, but platform for the people rather than the corporations, it'd be a lot different now. Like all those different people, all those different identities would have been listened to, and they would have gotten some things for their identities, like whatever those are, like maybe some reparations for some black people, maybe some reparations for some Native American people too. And then I had a guy one time tell me, well, I was drafted to Vietnam and I didn't want to go, and I wasn't, and whatnot, and he said, should I get reparations? I was like, oh, maybe you should. And that wouldn't be a bad thing if you were drafted to Vietnam and you were sent to war against your will. You probably deserve something for that. You probably have some PTSD that you didn't want to have, that you carried through your life and stuff. So there are other reasons to give, say, reparations, but there's also reasons to do other things for, like different identities, boys, girls, tall, short, all kinds of different things, handicap, accessibility type stuffs.
Black people, Latino people, LGBTQ community, and every single one of them has essentially been conditioned to hyper focus on social policies that specifically apply to them and benefit them.
And it's not.
Oh, and it's kind of because the Democrats and Republicans tell you, oh, we're not going to change anything about the financial policies. They're not raising minimum wage. They're not giving us universal health care. They're not making it easier for us to live financially. So if we can't live easier financially, then people are going to look at their identity and try to see what kind of ways they can get that help too, right? It'll make it, if I ain't got no money, then we need access to something.
Just benefit them as in their group. It's benefit them literally personally.
Yes.
Right? So this is not for the masses. This is for among the elites. There's a certain number of categories of really good jobs that are going to get filled. That's why you constantly hear about, like, well, it's important to have, fill in the blank representation. And I could use my own identity. Like, oh, it's important to have Muslim representation. Now, does that brother going to fight like hell for the Palestinians and make sure that Israel doesn't get any more funding, et cetera? Sometimes, and I hope so. And then that representation would make a difference. But oftentimes, they don't do that at all, whether it's Muslim, black, gay, whatever it might be.
Well, that has a lot to do with capitalism. Capitalism rewards greedy people, right? If you reward greed, then you come up through the ranks by being greedy and focusing on yourself and you're the elites around you, right? You get your greed on and you help your friends, and the ones around you get their greed on and they reward you back with some more greed.
They get that position to represent people, then do they know? Do they fight for a higher minimum wage?
So then you are effectively saying basically what I just said about identity politics, that they do it the wrong way. Identity politics isn't bad in and of itself. You're supposed to identify people, identify what they need, and help that. Because, like, again, if you're a cancer patient, you need different things than if you're an AIDS patient, and you need different things than if you're a broken leg patient, right? You got to identify different things, and everybody needs different stuff.
So that you can
a lot of people need the same stuff, but by identity, you will need some specific things.
Whether it's Muslim, black, gay, whatever it might be. They get that position to represent people, then do they know? Do they fight for a higher minimum wage so that you can uplift black and brown communities and all communities across the country? Do they fight for healthcare, et cetera? No, they leave all of that aside and they only focus on identity politics. And that is why the establishment loves identity politics, because it takes the place.
So why do you guys not push the Green Party or DSA or a third party if you know the establishment is like this?
Piece of real action.
Yes.
Because it's a lot of like seeming action of like, we're fighting them on LGBTQ issues, right? But wait, are you? Because they passed bills all over the country and you really did nothing about it, right? But rhetorically, we are wagging our finger at them. Yes, but did you pass paid family leave to help moms get some time off? No, we didn't do that. But that's okay, because we're American heroes.
But this guy will yell at you about Donald Trump and tell you have to vote for the Democratic Party, knowing that they won't do any of this stuff, knowing full well he has millions of members on his show, and they were the original, they call themselves the original, what do you call it, like anti-establishment podcast or whatever, YouTube channel and whatnot. They've been out like 20 years. They could have helped build the Green Party. They could have helped build DSA. They could have done so much. They have been sheep herders and keeping the left and keeping people away from the third parties all this time when you could have been building it. It doesn't even make any sense. All these YouTube channels, all these so-called left-wing people, if you watch my channel, please leave a like, share, comment here. But go to these videos that I look at, talk about the Green Party, leave comments, go to other comments and bring up the Green Party. Ask them to bring Green Party people on, because this is just nonsensical to watch them talk this way. You can identify the problem, but then you say, oh, just stick with the problem. How is that a solution?
Because we're fighting for these vulnerable communities.
Right. Now, look, representation isn't a bad thing necessarily, but when,
as long as you actually represent.
Wait, but hold on. But when representation is literally used as a substitute to passing policies that uplift the very community.
Right. So like the Democrats writing Black Lives Matter on the street down in Washington or wherever it is and whatnot, that doesn't do anything. We don't need people like the Democrats in office. We need people like the Green Party who will go out in the community and make the community better, actually do things for the community. We might put a sign up or might draw some stuff on the street, but along with that, we'll put in some food for us. We'll put in some universal health care, a higher minimum wage, all that, all kinds of different things. But it's just nonsense to be like, oh, well, I can identify the problem, and I understand that the Republicans and Democrats are pretty much the same and are going to be the problem, but I'm going to tell you to vote for one of them because that's just the game.
That individual is representing. What the hell is the point?
Yeah, so look, guys, it's actually super easy to understand when you take out Democrats and put it in Republicans. So Dr. Oz is Turkish. Was I supposed to go, hey, I need Turkish representation in the Senate? Right? No, he was a Republican Trump supporter with wacky ideas. So I was against them, even though it would technically get us representation because he doesn't actually represent Turks in America, right? So now,
so if you put people in the Green, or if you voted for people in the Green Party, one person on one of my interviews asked me, well, what if a person in the Green Party got in and then they didn't try to pass universal health care, voted against it? Then we would denounce them and they wouldn't be in the Green Party no more. And we would go against them in the next election with somebody who's for universal health care. And then anyone who would do that, we would just denounce and they would be put out of the Green Party. But, you know, we talk to each other and we vet each other and we understand what people think. Nobody in the Green Party is going to go hard against the Green Party platform. You may not believe in every single issue, but I'm pretty sure to be in the Green Party, you got to be kind of for universal health care. That's one of the main ones. But, yeah, they act like there's only these two options, so identity politics has to be bad, while they can identify the thing where, oh, they're not really doing it, they're just identifying stuff but not helping the things. Knowing that there are people out there who can identify and help, but they don't want to say that. Like, why? Because you guys are anti-establishment, but you seem to be pretty establishment.
Ben Carson and the Herman Cain, it said the list goes on. Very easy to understand. But when you put in a corporate Democrat who also does nothing for black people, Muslim people, etc., it's gay people.
Okay, he's saying exactly what I just said. But then if you go to Cenk and say, all right, let's leave the Democratic Party, let's go to the Green Party, let's build a party that has a platform that we already want, rather than changing this corporate party that has proven that it can't be changed. He's just going to say, no, stay with the Democrats,
etc. They go, no, it's okay. It's okay. As long as Pete Buttigieg is giving us representation, he doesn't actually have to do anything.
Yeah, and it's nefarious in so many different ways. It fractures the Democratic coalition.
As is anybody who's saying they're anti-establishment, yet telling you to vote blue no matter who. Very, what was the word she used?
Do anything.
Yeah, and it's nefarious in so many.
Nefarious, yes, good word, Anna. Very nefarious. Anyone, the way they are breaking down the problem, they understand it exactly, but still they're going to act like there's no other option between, but the Democrats, because the Republicans are so bad. I guess Anna might be going far enough right that she's going to start talking about maybe voting Republican. Cenk will be there in a couple years.
Many different ways. It fractures the Democratic coalition based on identity. It makes the coalition, I mean, there isn't a coalition, there's a fractured group of Democratic voters, I guess, who are less willing to work together on a common universal policy or cause that would benefit all of them, right? And at the same time, identity politics is used and weaponized as a way of destroying politicians that the Democratic establishment doesn't like, right? So that was what Bernie Sanders was kind of talking about in the last clip that we were watching. But he asks the question, okay, well, what do you stand for? And in this next clip, he explains what he stands for.
Nothing.
So the issue is what you stand for, which gets you back to what we discussed earlier, class politics, in the sense of which side are you on?
The side of the oligarchy, the side of the duopoly, or are you on the side of the people?
Are you going to stand with working families? Are you going to raise the minimum wage to
Oh my gosh. Are the Democrats going to do any of this? What he's about to say? I'm pretty sure we watched this part already. But are the Democrats going to do any of this stuff?
a living wage or not? Are you going to fight to guarantee health care to all people or not? Are you going to demand that the wealthiest people start paying their fair share of taxes or not? Those are the issues. And no one cares what color you are, you know, what your gender is, et cetera, et cetera.
Bro, I mean, that blazer is amazing.
Okay.
It really is. Okay, sorry, that's a side note. No, but these are his values. So and they're universal values, like or values that would apply universally in the form of policy for the American people.
Green Party values.
To benefit all of us. It's easier to pass universal policies because there's buy-in by various groups of people, not based on like one identity or the other. And it's hard.
So, and on that point, if you passed a bunch of universal policies, like say a higher minimum wage, universal health care, like say no food deserts anywhere, we got to fix that, ending wars, things like that, right? You passed a good 5, maybe 10, some other ones I'm not thinking off the top of my head, right? Universal policies. Then when you said, if you're like, oh, okay, there's still some left behind people, right? Now you can do identity politics a lot easier because people see that you do the universal stuff. But while you do the universal stuff, you can do the specific things or whatever. Like you can do the least or the most left behind as you're doing the universal things and getting everybody, but also still do both, right? Because if you do both, it won't be as bad as if you only do identity politics or only help a certain group and only help groups at a time.
In order to repeal universal policies like Medicare, like Social Security.
What was it?
No, but these are his values. So and they're universal values, like or values that would apply universally in the form of policy for the American people to benefit all of us. It's easier to pass universal policies because there's buy-in by various groups of people, not based on like one identity or the other. And it's harder to repeal.
Oh, Joe Biden said he would repeal universal health care if it got to his desk. It's not harder to repeal, not for the corporate parties.
Universal policies like Medicare, like Social Security.
Oh, exactly what I said, Medicare. Joe Biden said that he would have repealed it. And then Barack Obama, again, beating the dead horse, had the supermajority, could have done something about Social Security, could have done something about minimum wage, could have done something about universal health care. In fact, he did do something about health care, and he fined poor people. He fined them for not being able to afford health care. Like, these two parties are the same. They have a little bit different, like the Democrats will put rainbows on bombs and the Republicans will sign the bomb, right? Like what it was Marjorie Taylor Greene, she'll go sign the bomb and put her name on it. I think it was her or Lauren Boebert, one of the two, or maybe both of them did. But a Democrat will go put a rainbow sticker on it. And how is that different to the Palestinian, or would it be Russian or whoever getting killed by the bomb on the other side of the people we send weapons to? It doesn't matter who signs it or who puts the sticker on it. It's nuts.
Okay, it's harder because everyone pays into it and everyone gets to benefit from it.
Yeah. So this.
But no, it's not hard to repeal it. It has a higher approval rating and people want it more. But the establishment still repeals it. If it was harder to repeal, we would have universal health care. We would have the stuff that we want. But I've showed the video, I've showed the chart where they have their own line. The top 10% have their own line. It goes up, not quite at the 45-degree angle, but close to it. Our line is at the 30 or 33%, I forget. But it's straight across. It doesn't matter what we want at all. We get what we want at 33% just because about what the rich people want. It comes in at 33% of what we want. Not even the good stuff that we want, just kind of some of the stuff that we want.
This is now the litmus test, because if you look at that and you go, no, Bernie, I hate him now. He's saying he almost made fun of people in different ethnic groups. He's not doing identity politics. I hate him, and I'm not going to join his class action. Okay, well, there we have it.
Yeah.
I love that class action. I love uniting us all. I love black people in the movement. I love white people in the movement. I love gay and straight people in the movement. I'm not going to tell.
Identity politics gets everybody in the movement. You acknowledge everybody and who they are. Everybody has rights. And yes, there are universal things. And those are easy to talk about. And we talk about those, and that is our platform in the Green Party, the universal things. But we also talk about the specific things, like, like gay rights and stuff. We talk about trans a lot, but we talk about reparations, taxing the rich and redistributing wealth and stuff like that. The identity politics in the Democrats and Republican Party, they're just talk. They're just to separate us. Real identity politics should come after and during the general stuff, like the universal politics, like healthcare, higher wage, and all that stuff. Oops.
Tell any of them to shut up. I'm not going to tell any of them that they're inferior. In fact, I'll be livid if anyone says to any of those groups that they are inferior or they need to know their role. None of that's going to happen. It's not going to happen against black people. And yes, it's not going to happen against white.
It happens in the Democratic Party. Joe Biden told Charlemagne the God on live TV, basically saying it to black people, if you don't vote for me, you're not black. Yes, the Democrats say what you just said you're not going to say.
People. I know on the left, they'll say, it's never happened against white people. Okay, whatever. I don't care. Stop dividing us. Stop dividing us. Okay? So you're
the one that's for the corporate parties. The Democrats and the Republicans, their job is to divide us. That is what they do, the duopoly, to keep us in the oligarchy, to keep us under capitalism, to keep us under the monarchy, to keep us under the fascist, what we started. You have to get outside this duopoly. You have to get outside the capitalist mindset, the Western, there's only one way, this way that we did. It's not. If you vote, if you're going to be a Democrat or Republican, you are not going to make change. Not any significant change for people.
Either for that class action that Bernie's talking about, or you're not. Okay, so make a choice. And again, I don't know I know the rad libs. They're going to be like, no way. And remember, a lot of the rad libs are rich and they're upper middle class, and they don't want things.
So isn't Cenk a rad lib? You're a liberal, and you kind of talk about being radical, but you're so scared of Trump that you have to vote Democrat. But now you reach over to Charlie Kirk and them, and you're cool with fascism and stuff. Like, are you a rad? If you're not a rad lib, then are you like a neocon now? Are you conservative now?
Things to change. That's why Bernie bothers them more than anybody does.
Exactly.
Because Bernie actually unlike Trump, Bernie means it. So when they see Bernie, it's nails on a chalkboard for them. They're like, oh.
Does Bernie actually mean it though? Like his effective politics take you to the Democrats where everything he says won't get done? So does he mean it?
He would change my privileged position. Identity politics.
Like the Pied Piper. Like Bernie is now the Pied Piper. That makes me sad that I just thought of that. He's saying all the right stuff. He's bringing all the people and having all the people follow him, doing the dance, and just like, yeah. But then taking them to the wrong place, taking them off the cliff. Because Bernie, man, is such a disappointment. And I think he was different in 2016. I think joining the Democratic Party has changed him and made him a different person. Had he, in 2016, gone to the Green Party, I think that everybody knows things would be different. But it's just sad that he went to the Democratic Party, and now his effective politics are pretty much bullshit, to be honest. If you're for the people, if you're for the corporations, if you're for the status quo, if you're for the establishment, his politics are spot on. But if you want people to have more power than Elon Musk, then that's not where it's at.
Identity politics, right?
Yep.
So now, but again, for my friends on the far left who we thought we agreed with on 98% of issues, I hope you still hold on to your principles that you stated.
We do. We're in the Green Party. We hold on to our principles. You do not. That's crazy. Like, please, anybody who listens, are you serious? Like, talking about hold on to your principles, but then you vote for the Democratic Party and tell people to go to the Democratic Party when you know the Democratic Party will do none of your principles, none of your platform. How is voting for anti-Trump? Oh, I just got to vote against Trump. I just got to vote against Republicans. How is that holding on to your principles?
I mean, unless your principles have changed and you don't care about those things.
Exactly. Oh my goodness. Look into the mirror. You shouldn't even be allowed to be on freedom of speech. You should be allowed to be wherever you are. But man, you need to do this in the mirror
Anymore, and you only care about culture wars, then okay, then that's your call.
So finally, let's get to the clip that all the fuss is about. This is what really set the Democratic establishment off. Let's take a look.
We felt that over the last 4 elections, Democrats, we felt that we didn't have a say on who could be president. We talk a lot about the Republicans being autocrats and oligarchs and taking over democracy, but from the Democrat perspective, and I'm a lifelong Democrat.
The Jones Plantation, you get an option of who they give you. That's it.
I felt like the Democratic Party completely removed the democratic process from its constituents.
It's been like that since the beginning, though. At the very first, George Washington, who did he run against? Any of the presidents, Thomas Jefferson, anybody, who'd they run against? Even great presidents, who'd they run against? There was only certain options. You only get 2 or 3 options, and it was a huge thing when the Republicans, in 2016, I think, when Trump ran the first time, they had like 20 people running or something like that. And for America, that's huge. That's a lot of people. Normally you have 3 to 5 options, and who picks those options? Not us. And are those 3 or 5 people any different? Not really.
And I think they need to have some accountability of that.
No argument here.
I don't even for you. Democrats, we felt that we didn't have a say on who could be president. We talk a lot about the Republicans being autocrats and oligarchs and taking over democracy, but from the Democrat perspective, and I'm a lifelong Democrat, I felt like the Democratic Party completely removed the democratic process from its constituents. And I think they need to have some accountability of that.
No argument here.
Take accountability. No argument.
I wanted
Bernie Sanders has no argument to that, yet he's not disciplining or giving them any accountability. Why aren't you in the Green Party right now, Bernie? Why aren't you in the Green Party holding the Democrats accountable, talking all this stuff and saying what the Democrats did wrong and saying why you are in the Green Party now? How is that holding them accountable? You are just sheep herding people into their party. You are doing the exact opposite of holding them accountable. You are giving them what they want. You're giving them benefit.
2016, I was like, this is going to happen. This guy's going to do it. And it felt like they stole it from me. And I'll be honest, it broke my heart when you supported them.
Ostensibly, there hasn't been a fair primary for the Democrats since 2008. Are they not also a threat to democracy? We often hear.
Fair enough. That is. Yeah, I'm not going to argue with that point.
I mean, but where's the lie? They're upset with him.
Yeah,
but where's the lie? Where's the lie? Because if I recall, after Kamala Harris and the Democrats in general were shellacked in the 2024 election cycle, you had a few Democratic lawmakers who were establishment individuals, by the way, who were willing to come forward, do a little bit of self-reflection, and some of them recalled what happened in 2016. And they fully admitted that the Democratic establishment did whatever they needed to do to ensure that Bernie wouldn't be the Democratic nominee. And so where is the lie? Explain that to me. When you have the Democrat.
But why would Bernie stay in that party? What are you doing? Like, you obviously you're not really supporting what you say you're supporting. You really don't want what you say you want. You're just trying to get those people to follow you who want the same thing that you say you want and get them into a party where they have no power so that the Green Party, the DSA, doesn't build in a correct way. This is exactly what Martin Luther King and Malcolm X warned about liberals. They said white liberals. I guess Bernie Sanders is a white liberal, but still, liberals in general, when you're in the middle, you have no morals, you have no actual thought process of what is right and wrong is just not it's insane, man. Like, what are you doing? You say all this stuff and you're not in the Green Party. You say the exact Green Party platform, but you're gonna say let's do the capitalist, let's do the oligarchy thing. It doesn't make any sense.
Establishment manipulating the primary process in order to ensure their gal is the Democratic nominee, even
She just basically said exactly what Bernie Sanders is doing.
if they know that the base was far more interested in making Bernie Sanders the Democratic nominee.
So, and I keep going back to the far left in this case because there are
far left
allies in this fight normally, right? And so I know which side of the establishment Democrats are going to come out on. They're going to come out 100% against that statement by Bernie, and they're going to say, how dare you? The Democrats are pure as the driven snow. They're all angels, and if we just go back to another corporate Democrat, everything will be fine. We'll just go, Hillary Clinton 2.0 or Biden 2.0. Everything's going to be great. Give me Buttigieg, Newsom, we're good, right? Although they're
So he's going to talk about the far left now after these centrist, right-wing centrist people. Is he going to talk about left-wingers, like actual left-wingers, or is he going to talk about less far-right centrists in the Democratic Party? I'm pretty sure it's going to be the latter.
They're mad at those guys these days too. The Radlibs are mad at everyone, and they make no rhyme or reason. It makes
This Radlib stuff is stupid. I don't like that word.
no sense. They're mad at Buttigieg for going on that same show, Flagrant.
I'm a radical centrist.
Andrew Shultz is a lifelong Democrat. How many times does he have to say it, right? No, not good enough.
want nothing
Not
to
good
change.
enough. We have slight disagreement with beloved Democratic politicians. So those guys I love them, and I hope they come to their senses. I hope they snap out of it, and I hope they come and join us. And I think a lot of them will, right? But a ton of them will stay in that corner, and those will be our opponents in the 2028 primary. Those are going to be the Buttigieg guys, et cetera, right? And they're always corporate's going to corporate, right? So now, the rest of us.
He just said corporate's going to corporate. So Dems are going to Dem, right? They're corporate. Now, where are we going to go from here? I think he's about to go on to the left-wing part. I haven't watched this yet, so let's see.
Have to rally around a populist that takes up Bernie's economic mantle here.
Okay,
here,
Green Party type stuff. Let's go.
In this interview, he's planting the flag and saying economic populism.
Yeah.
And he's not unclear about it. And stop listening to Democratic leadership, which, by the way, I'm glad he learned that.
Stop listening to the Democrats at all, because Democrats listen to Democratic leadership. Go to the party that has your politics. Cenk, you can build the party. You have the power. This man right here. You have the power to build a party. You can do it. You can get many mayors, governors, senators elected. You might not get the president elected in the very next election, but if you get lots of people throughout the 50 states and the territories elected, the president could be soon after. This is insane, man. You're just gonna, I'm left wing, do right wing shit. Cenk, pull your shit together, man.
That lesson recently, okay? So, and I love Bernie, and I love what he's doing here.
Yep.
And I like that he's come to the right.
So he's talking about Bernie exactly how he should be talking about himself. What is your conclusion? Are you gonna conclude here with talking about a third party doing some different stuff, or are you gonna be like, we got to change the Democrats? Are you gonna be a Bernie Sanders, or are you gonna be a radical? Or are you gonna be a Tupac? Let's check it out. A Fred Hampton. What you gonna be?
Right strategy now, as well as the right policies, which he's always had, right? So I hope our brothers and sisters on the far left go, okay, guys, I hear you. We'll pick up the fight later. But in a primary, of course, we're going to vote with the Bernie side. We're not going to vote with the corporate side. That's my hope. I think that's what's going to happen. But if that doesn't happen, then we're going to be fractured, and the corporate guys are.
He said we're going to vote with the Bernie side. He turned the corporate Democrat side into the Bernie side. Instead of saying, oh my gosh, this is one of the biggest sellout moments of all time.
Primary, of course, we're going to vote with the Bernie side. We're not stop listening to Democratic leadership, which, by the way, I'm glad he learned that lesson recently, okay?
Holy shit. Stop listening to Democratic leadership And then he's going to say exactly what Democratic leadership would say, but with a slick mouth, talking about Bernie instead of
So, and I love Bernie, and I love what he's doing here.
Yep.
And I like that he's come to the right strategy now.
The right strategy of vote blue no matter who. Come to the Democrats. This is not left-wing strategy. This is not for the left. This is not for the people. This is not a popular strategy. Come to the right thing. This is so corporate right here. Oh my goodness. Please. Oh my goodness.
As well as the right policies, which he's always had.
He's always had the right policies.
So I hope our brothers and sisters on the far left go, okay, guys, I hear you. We'll pick up the fight later. But in a primary, of course, we're going to vote with the Bernie side. We're not going to vote with the corporate side.
We're going to vote with the... You're not going to vote for the corporate side. The Democrats are the corporate side. The duopoly is the corporate side. What are you talking about, Cenk? You are straight lying.
That's my hope. I think that's what's going to happen.
That's your hope. I'm gonna try to let him get through it without saying anything.
Our opponents in the 2028 primary. Those are going to be the Buttigieg guys, etc., right? And they're always going to, corporate's going to corporate, right? So now, the rest of us have to rally around a populist that takes up Bernie's economic mantle here. And here, in this interview, he's planting the flag and saying economic populism.
Yeah.
And he's not unclear about it. And stop listening to Democratic leadership, which, by the way, I'm glad he learned that lesson recently, okay? So, and I love Bernie, and I love what he's doing here.
Yep.
And I like that he's come to the right strategy now, as well as the right policies, which he's always had, right? So I hope our brothers and sisters on the far left go, okay, guys, I hear you. We'll pick up the fight later. But in a primary, of course, we're going to vote with the Bernie side. We're not going to vote with the corporate side. That's my hope. I think.
How corporate was that? We're going to vote for the Bernie side, which Bernie is pushing the oligarchy. And then he says, but not the corporate side. Bernie is pushing the corporate side. Democrats are no less corporate than the Republicans. And that TYT can do this, that Bernie is doing this. I don't know what to say. Like, a lot of people are telling me I'm doing too much, and like, what? I don't get it. Like, hopefully if you watch this video, by the time you get to the end of this video and these other videos about Bernie that I'm doing with Andrew Shultz, you almost have to see it. Bernie is telling you how bad the Democrats are, but then showing you that, like, he's just like, oh, well, I got to do it because why? Why not be for the actual people? I don't get it. I'm keep coming to the cross of spectrum so we can find it out. I don't know why. Like, Bernie, please.